on whether to become the first states in the nation to legalize marijuana for recreational use. Doing so would put Colorado, Washington State, and Oregon in direct conflict with federal law. Meantime, former federal officials in Washington State are supporting the effort to legalize pot. Joining me now, Huffington Post Washington Bureau Chief Ryan Grimm. He's also the author of This Is Your Country on Drugs. It's so good to see you, Ryan. We haven't seen you in a while.
Good to be here.
Okay, so this would put in conflict with federal law. We know that the DOJ hasn't come out strongly yet, and perhaps won't, on this, but we're at a credible point where you've got 3 states who could legalize pot for rec use.
Sure, and they're being much smarter about it this time. You know, in 2010, it was the closest that a state ever came to legalizing marijuana, and that was when California went for it. But they got hammered by opponents toward the end of the election, where they said, look, if you pass this initiative, the roads are just going to be filled with zonked out stoners, and it's just going to be mayhem on the highways. So in Washington, they thought about that, and they put in an impairment standard so that cops can try to figure out if somebody's driving stoned or not. Also in Oregon, Colorado, and Washington, they earmarked the revenue to some to the general fund, but then also some to education and substance abuse things, and things that everybody supports. So these are much smarter initiatives, and it's smarter to run them in a presidential year when you have a lot of young people voting, rather than a midterm in 2010 where the elderly folks who come out are just staunchly
against it. Some of the latest polling shows 50% in Colorado and Washington support legalizing pot for rec use, while 37% in Oregon support legalization. Ryan, again, you've studied this, you've written about it. Talk to me a little bit about how our mindsets have changed, perhaps even since the 80s. Is it because, for example, under federal law, possession of even one personal use joint is a misdemeanor, but it's punishable by up to a year in prison, $1,000 fine? Is it that people feel like, I don't know, we have bigger things to worry about, or that marijuana is not this scary demon that some people saw it as earlier on?
Yeah, all of the deficit hysteria certainly works in reformers' favor. They say, hey, okay, you've got problem finding revenue. Well, here's revenue. Tons of people are smoking pot. Let's go ahead and tax it. But I think more importantly, in places like Oregon, Washington, Colorado, you've had medical marijuana legal there for a long time, and the drug czars and the drug warriors said, if you do this, all of our children are going to be smoking pot and the sky is going to fall. That didn't happen. In most states where they've legalized medical marijuana, the teen pot smoking rate actually went down. I'm not exactly sure why that is. It might be that it becomes medical and it becomes uncool. Whatever it is, all of the warnings that the drug warriors gave the public didn't come true. So now they're out there saying the same things, and it doesn't really stick to the wall like it used to. Actually, a bunch of former drug warriors had a conference call today in Colorado. They're coming out, former drug czars. They're coming out against the constitutional amendment out there, and the media asked, do you think that Obama is getting drug money laundered to his campaign? They wouldn't say no. And Matt Sledger, Huffington Post, was on the call, and he said, wait a minute, let me just follow up on that. Are you really not willing to say that the President of the United States is not funding his campaign with drug money? And they said, well, we're not going to comment on that. So they've kind of descended into this kind of desperation and hysteria. So, it might happen this time. If it does, I think it'll be Washington, and Colorado's second most likely. I think Oregon will probably fail. But if it doesn't happen this time, I think 2016 you'll see it a few places for sure.
Okay, bizarre conference call, interesting topic. I guess that's one of those TBA moments in life. Thank you very much, Ryan Grimm. Okay, John.